Now, the row over the NCERT syllabus changes has snowballed into a big controversy, with two chief advisors for NCERT's political science books, Yogendra Yadav and Suhas Palshikar, slamming the modification in the syllabus. They have reiterated the demand, seeking the removal of their names from the textbooks in an open letter. Remember, they had first written a letter to the NCERT director on the 9th of June, wherein they expressed disapproval over the recent changes on the basis of rationalization. That was what the NCERT had said, stating that they do not see any logic except to please the powers that be. This is the claim coming from Mr. Palshikar and Mr. Yogendra Yadav. The NCERT issued an unsigned statement on its website without any reference to the letter by Mr. Yadav and Mr. Palshikar. In the statement, the NCERT stated that the development of textbooks by Textbook Development Committee, or the changes made, was a joint advisory effort, and therefore withdrawal of association by anybody was out of the question. Now, the two chief advisors in their fresh letter have reiterated their demand, saying that the continuation of their names creates a false impression of endorsement, adding that if NCERT can distort textbooks, they also have a moral and legal right to dissociate their names from those concerned textbooks. Now, we have Mr. Yogendra Yadav himself, the chief advisor in this NCERT matter, about his decision to dissociate himself from the panel and the letter that he's written to NCERT to that effect. Thank you very much, Mr. Yadav, for joining us and speaking to us on Times Now. In your letter, of course, you raised serious objections and called for dissociation of your name from the panel. But NCERT now, in an unsigned letter, has rejected your request to remove your name from that list of advisors. What led you to actually request the removal in the first place, sir?
There is a larger question of how NCERT has changed, distorted, and mutilated these books over the years, especially in the last 2 years. And then there is a small ethical, legal question of whether the NCERT can still use our name while changing the substance of the book. The first question has been raised earlier, has been raised repeatedly by all kinds of scholars in this country who have said that the changes brought about in NCERT books, not only in political science, are the ones that simply defeat the purpose of these textbooks. They are against the spirit of these textbooks, and they are against the spirit of democracy. The more limited question in the last 2-3 days that we have raised, Professor Suhas Palshikar and I have said that, look, now these books are really of a kind that at least we, who were originally in charge of writing, putting it together, we do not recognize these books as books that we made. So do what you like with those books. You have the copyright. You can do what you like. But please remove our names. We do not wish to be associated. NCERT says we cannot allow anyone to dissociate. What kind of a logic is it? How can you force me to be associated with something over which I have no control, over which I do not approve of, which I actively disapprove of, which I'm embarrassed about? So if you make a statue and someone then puts a cap on it, someone puts a little chippy on the nose, someone breaks the head, at least you should be able to say, this is not the statue I made. That's all that Professor Palshikar and I are doing. And even this is not acceptable. I'm absolutely astonished.
So, Mr. Yadav, since you talked about being embarrassed at the changes that have been introduced in the NCERT textbooks, what specifically is the reason behind the embarrassment? Can you take us through the details?
The embarrassment is that when we wrote these books in 2005, 6, and 7, these were meant to be democratic books about democracy. These books were books which presented the truth to the students, irrespective of the wishes of the regime of that day. It was UPA regime at that time. But these textbooks contained so many things that Congress would have found unacceptable, because we wanted to write books that were non-partisan. What we find embarrassing is, number one, that all the things that could be unfavorable to the Congress have been retained. Everything that could have been unfavorable to the BJP has been changed, has been dropped. So the spirit of the things have been destroyed. Number two, these are supposedly books on democracy. And what has been dropped in the last 2 years? Anything to do with human rights has been dropped. Anything to do with diversity has been dropped, and anything to do with movements, which is the very heart of democracy, has been dropped. So NCERT says we have rationalized it so as to reduce the syllabus. We are saying by all means, reduce the syllabus if you want to, but you cannot do it selectively in a way as to drop everything to do with the spirit of democracy. That is why we find it embarrassing. Books that we had invested so much time, energy, spirit, which at least many of us had done simply as a service to the nation. And today we find that we need to dissociate even from those books. That is what we find embarrassing.
Now, the NCERT, sir, has in fact put out a statement where it claims that the withdrawal of association by any one member is completely out of the question. That was clearly an indication made towards you and Mr. Palshikar. What do you have to say about the stand now taken by the NCERT?
Isn't it ridiculous? Why can I not dissociate from something that I produced and I do not approve of? NCERT has the copyright. There's no problem. NCERT can change these textbooks if they want to. That's their prerogative. But they do not have copyright over my name. How can they make me the writer, advisor of something that I disapprove of? Who are they to say you shall not be allowed? Tomorrow, can I print something under your name and say these are your views? How can I do that? Can I produce a new kind of program, the conversation that we have today, change the conversation and still put your name on it? What kind of a right it is? What kind of arrogance is it to say no one would be allowed to dissociate? Remember, the question is not that of copyright. The question is not that of NCERT's right to modify these books. The question is not whether books should be revised. The simple question is, when you revise these books without information or consultation with us beyond a point that we find unrecognizable, at least allow us to drop our names. This is elementary, and the NCERT does not even begin to answer it. On the one hand, they say, we have the right to change the books, all right. On the other hand, they say, but no one can be dissociated. What kind of a warped logic is this?
Right, Mr. Yadav, thank you so much for speaking to Times Now and explaining your position vis-a-vis the changes that have been made to textbooks on the explanation that this is a rationalization exercise. Now, while the two chief advisors have slammed the changes, top VCs, including that of the JNU as well as the Delhi University, have backed the syllabus rationalization exercise. Among the changes made earlier this year, references to the 2002 riots had been removed from the Class 12 books as well. Chapters titled Democracy and Diversity, Popular Struggles and Movements and Challenges of Democracy have also been removed from the Class 10 book. A section on sedition from the Class 8 book has also been removed. The chapter on Darwin's theory of evolution has been deleted, as has some other controversial sections from some of the textbooks as well. So the JNU Vice Chancellor, Shantashri Pandit, speaking to Times Now, said that there's absolutely nothing political in nature in the changes that have been made.
There has been a change in the course and the syllabus of the NCERT. And also now there is this political controversy turning around. First of all, how do you respond to all these things?
See, syllabus has to change. There is nothing political about it. From 1966 onwards, in 2006 also there was a revision. And when there are revisions, according to me, revision has to take place every 10 years because knowledge is growing. I do not agree that any revision exercise, meaning of the syllabus, we do it in JNU every 3 years. Then where is the politics in it?
Professor Suhas Palshikar and Yogendra Yadav are the ones who have written to NCERT to drop their names because of certain reason, and they have also mentioned the word embarrassment. What do you think, ma'am? What triggers them to mention such things?
See, all of us have our ideological moorings. But that doesn't mean, see, if you don't want to be a part of an exercise, you can resign voluntarily and gracefully. Why make it so political?
We're also being joined by the Delhi University Vice Chancellor, Mr. Yogesh Singh. He's joining us for his perspective on the change in syllabus and the questions that are currently being raised. Many thanks for speaking to us. Mr. Singh, first and foremost, what do you have to say about this larger criticism about the fact that these changes are being undertaken with allegations that this is being done at the behest of the ruling dispensation, among other claims being made? What's your take on this entire row, sir?
I think there is some confusion somewhere because I have seen somewhere that NCERT has clarified this issue also, that they are not removing the periodic tables and other such stuffs.
And what is the source of the confusion that you see also with the kind of reactions that we've seen from some people who were part of the NCERT panel who now wish to dissociate themselves? Delhi University itself has seen a row with the deletion of chapters on Muhammad Iqbal, the inclusion of chapters on Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. What's your take on the fact that these changes are being undertaken, some basically putting a political spin to these changes as well?
When it comes to history and political science, there are perspectives on a particular issue. And if NCERT has decided to go for a specific thing, then we should welcome, because India is now in 21st century. Many things have changed. Many views have been changed recently. So we have to respect those aspects also in the curriculum.
Okay, many thanks, Mr. Yogesh Singh, for joining us for your view on the changes being made to textbooks now.